we're going to do POTA, Parks on the Air. This is something that Leo 4 turned me on to, and I really think that it's really a cool thing. There's a lot of us out there that are on HF, and we don't know who to talk to. It's a little hard to find people to talk to unless there's a contest going on or something like that. POTA gives you almost a constant source of people that are out there that are a bit of a challenge to contact, but that are waiting for you on a specific frequency. And so I think that's really cool. And I think that that is probably the one thing that makes it the most special for me, is the fact that I know where to go look for somebody. Hey, let's turn that radio off. What do you say?
Hey, Ian, if I could interrupt for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have somebody on board that's called User 7. If they would please identify by changing their name and call sign so we know who you are.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that if you could just put your first name, comma, and your call sign or something similar to that. We're not overly picky, but we like to know who's in here. You do not have to be an amateur radio operator to be in here, although most of us are. But we do appreciate to know who you are. Appreciate if we know who you are. All right. And thanks, Tom and Leo 4 for co-hosting with me tonight. I appreciate that. And we're just going to get right into it here. I'm not going to delay. I want to go ahead and put on the screen capture again, and I'm going to switch over to the Parks on the Air, the actual Parks on the Air website. And we're going to start there. And Leo has been doing this a lot longer than me. And I don't know if is there anybody else in here that's been doing Parks on the Air for any time? Oh boy, Leo. All right. It's you and me, buddy. And I've been doing it for a week. All right. We'll get through it. It's cool. This is actually, it's pretty straightforward stuff. That's what I like about it. All right. So you guys can see that. That's the website there, right? Everybody can see that. Are you guys are seeing the website, right?
Yeah, we got it.
The POTA website. Okay. All right. On that website right there, you're going to need to create you a screen name. And that's going to be one of the first things you can do. But there's a lot of stuff on here you can check out before you sign up. Doesn't cost anything. It's like anything else. You just put your call sign in, your email address. And then once you get your call sign and your email address, then you'll get your login credentials. Once you get your login credentials, you can log into this screen right here. And this is, and Leo, I'll give you the option. Do you want to go through the tabs and I press them, or do you want me to go through it and you just correct me when I'm wrong?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
And
it's more fun to yell at me. I know. Okay. But anyway, I haven't even really explored everything there is in here yet, but let's just take a quick look here. This first page, of course, is all the people that we'll never meet, the people that do a lot more than we do. But this kind of shows you who all the top winners are, the top people who are doing their thing. And by the way, there's a lot of awards here, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. But here's how you can find parks near you. There's actually a map. And I'm hoping this displays properly here, but you can actually go into this map. I like how it starts in like Africa, in case you want to start there. But you can actually go in here and you can see there's all your parks. Any of these parks can be activated. Now, let's start before we go any further with a couple of quick terms, okay? There's 2 terms you got to familiarize yourself with right off the bat. And if there's any more, let me know. Number 1, hunter, and not gatherer, but activator. You're either a hunter or an activator. If you're a hunter, you can be home, you can be in your car, you can be at a park, you can be anywhere you want to be. You're a hunter. You're calling out to the people that are at the parks, okay? If you're at a park that's an approved park and you're signed into POTA as being at the park, then you're an activator. And I believe, Leo, what is it? The goal is to get 10 and then you move to the next park. Is that how that works? Are you familiar with that?
To activate the park, to count the park as, well, let me turn off my phone here. To technically activate the park, to get credit for the park, you have to have 10 confirmed QSOs. You can have 10 or you could have 1,000. It doesn't really matter. But you have to have at least 10 to count the activation as act as an activation. So,
So,
there's
so the goal when you arrive would be to get your first 10 would be your basically your first mile marker that you
Yeah,
want to
well,
get to.
once you get 10, then you get credit for that day of activating the park.
Because I know I heard some guys talking on the radio about they were trying to get 3 parks in one day.
Yeah, a
And-
lot of guys will jump from park to park to park. Like if they're on vacation, they'll knock out 3 parks in one day.
And so
Oh.
if you want to do parks, you can go in here and sign up as an activator. I haven't done this yet, but you can sign up as someone who wants to go out and activate, and you pick the park and you tell them what frequency you're going on and everything. And then you spot yourself on here, and we're going to get to that in a few minutes. And then away you go. People are going to call, you're going to call out. People are going to call back. They're going to know where to find you. So what a great thing. Go ahead.
The parks you can go to, I saw something pop up on the chat. They're all state and federal parks. They're not just your local park down the street. Each one of these little yellow dots, if you click on it, it'll tell you where it's located at. Like I live here in Cape Coral, we have parks all over the place, but those are not part of POTA. It's either it's not all federal and all state parks, but it's most federal and most state parks. So to be an activator, you have to go to one of these yellow dots. And if you look around here, some of these yellow dots, like in Upper Captiva, it's a Hannibal Island. And the one there on Pine Island, you can't get to because it's a wildlife reserve. I guess if you go put a boat out there or something, but some of these are almost impossible to get to.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the one here is an island for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, the one there on Sanibel, that's Ding Darling.
Yeah, which you could drive back in there. And
Yeah.
I don't think they're overly picky. I mean, you could kind of be in the parking lot of the place if they're closed and still you're still at the park.
As long as you're in the boundary of the park, you don't
Right.
have to be sitting on a park bench. You can be sitting in your car doing this if you wanted to. As long as you're in the park, you're good.
So, I mean, it could even be a park that's closed because of COVID. As long as the parking lot's open to the public, you probably could still activate the park. And
Correct.
the way I understand it, most of these places don't require any kind of permission or anything just to go there and set up a simple antenna and a little radio or a big
No,
radio. But anyway, there's a number of parks, not as many as you would think though, but there is a few here. There's Hickey Creek, around this area. There is a few here in Lee County, but you just drive to one of these and you can activate it. Like I said, what I'm interested in right now is doing more hunting. As Leo mentioned earlier, as a hunter, you do not need to do any paperwork at all. And let me show you something that's really cool because I keep a log and I like to keep a really good log of everything. So what I did was I can go in here to my stats and I can go down here and I can see each, different things about my stats. And one of the things I like, there's a summary here, of course. You can see a summary of all your activity. There's my 5 measly little contacts. And then you can go up here. I actually prefer hunted QSOs because now I get to see more information. This is the information you get from the activator filing his report. What's cool about this is you can just wait till the next day when this pops up and throw it in your logbook. Just make sure you get the time and the date in there, right? The band and everything. What else was cool about this? I made a contact back in October that I had forgot about. The guy put it in. Once I signed up, it populated. I went ahead and threw it in my logbook. So I got credit for a QSO 4 months ago that I didn't have in my logbook because it was in here. So I think that's kind of cool. That it's kind of like it has its own logbook that goes along with it. And then you just copy this into your logbook and these count as phone contacts, obviously, or whatever. I have 2 FT8s on here. I have a 2 meter and I have a 20 and a 40 or 220, whatever it is. What were my phones? A 20 and a 20, 2 20-meter phones. So you can you can make contact a bunch of different ways. And, when you make contact with them, it's basically a lot like a contest in a way. I find the phone exchange to be similar to a contest because they'll say CQ POTA, CQ POTA, CQ POTA. This is so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. and then you blurt out your call sign and hope they hear you. That's kind of basically, am I right, Leo? It's basically kind of the same phone exchange you would get in a contest.
Yeah, it's basically like a contest. It's not a contest. POTA is
Right.
not a contest at all. Basically like running a contest or running field day. That's what it's like. I've worked and I've tried to get in through pileups that you sit there for a half hour just trying to get one contact. So once these guys pop up, it's game on. There's a lot of people out there hunting them too.
Yeah, the one fundamental difference is when you're in a contest, you can choose whether you want to be someone who is calling or someone who is pouncing. In this, the activator is basically always the person that's CQing, and the hunters are basically always the people who are pouncing. Am I correct on that? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I know I oversimplify sometimes, but I kind of, it took me a minute to realize that. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So they're always the ones calling out on that specific frequency. And then we go to that frequency and we pounce until they hear us.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's cool. And it will hone your skills for contesting too, because it's basically like I said, it has the feel of contesting. The phone exchange does. When you get them on there, they're going to come back and say KO4 EFS, and you're going to say, QSL. And then I come back and I say, you are 86 in South Florida, 86 South Florida. And they'll come back 86 South Florida QSL. Thanks for the park, or thanks for the, whatever. And I'll thank them for the park and give them a 73, and that's it. And that's the whole exchange right there.
Yeah. They're supposed to tell you your signal report and then the park they're in. And the park will always start with a K or a kilo and then the number.
Right.
And then it's just on to the next one.
And remember, and I don't know if this is like, I don't want to sound like I'm cheating here or anything, but it's really cool because you don't have to worry about having everything perfect to sit down and do this. You can just wheel around and do it. And if you make a contact and you didn't write it down, or you didn't get the park K number, or you didn't whatever, it's okay. Because there's a 95% chance it's going to pop up in the POTA website, and you can just back put it into your logbook. Does that make sense? I mean, you don't have to log it the moment you're doing it. There's no paperwork involved. You don't even have to log it. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. You can just make the contact and go on to the next one, and that guy still gets full credit.
Yeah, you not being at the park, the guy at the park, like I run the same software we do at Field J, the N3 JMP or whatever it's called. I run that software when I do POTA, because the people in the park actually have to turn in logs. But as the person sitting at their house, not in the park, once you make the contact, you can put it into your personal log, but you don't have to send anything to POTA at all.
I've also run into people on there doing POTA, and they'll have two people out there, and they'll put in the spot that there's two of us out here or whatever. And what that basically means is you'll get two QSOs out of it, because you'll call the one guy, and as soon as you're done, the other guy will call you, get him too. So I haven't got one of those yet, but I've heard that happen a few times. Trying to think, they use a bunch of different digital modes. Like I said, I got a call on 2 meter call. So if you've got a park that's literally like a mile down the road or 10 miles down the road, I mean, they may come up on 2 meter call. I don't know.
You can make a contact on anything, but it has to be simplex. You cannot use repeaters at all. So that's the only rule about what modes and everything you can use. As long as you stay off the repeaters, you're good.
It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. Let's go back and let's go through the website real quick. If you want to find parks near you, there's that map and there's search tool. You can put the location at the top, your state, your province, whatever, it'll bring it up. You can look at whatever parks are in your area. We've already gone over that. The next one here is that's the leaderboard for hunters and the leaderboard for activators. I don't think we really need to spend a lot of time here, but what this basically is just, okay, if you're a hunter you can put in here and it will tell you, you know, the leaderboard. You guys know what that is. We don't even need to go over that. The activity, spotting, this is going to be the spots that are out there right now. And so you can see this is real time. Okay. Now I'm going to make a change. I didn't want to do it at first, but look at all these spots, right? Oh, wait a minute. No, there is no active spots, is there?
Yeah,
Oh,
on
crap.
here, it's actually broken into two sections. This top here is active. And if you roll down, you'll see today's activities.
Yeah, there's 4 active. So what I like to do, because see how complicated this all is? Look at all that wasted space. I like to come here and change this. I like late shift too, but we'll leave that alone. That just makes it dark. I changed this to prefer table because to me, this is a lot easier to look at, isn't it? Now, what you're looking at here is the 4 people that are out there right now looking for QSOs. And I swear I could turn my radio on right now. We could probably try to give them a call. You've got 2 that are, what do you got? 2 on 20 and you got 1 on, looks like 80.
Yeah.
You got to look at what it is. See that one that's on 80? He's on 3573. I happen to know that that's the FT8 frequency on 80. So if you're going to look for him, you can't go to that frequency and start yelling because you're going to need a computer. But yeah, and I'm sure as John would know, that's definitely, I'm sure 3573 is an FT8 frequency. I'm pretty sure.
It is.
Yeah. And then see 14. And you know, another thing, if they're a really low frequency in the band, it's probably CQ. Most of them will say CQ, but I've had a couple so far that were not. And when I went to them, I'm like, wow, this is way down on the bottom of the band. And it's because it's a CQ frequency. So you look for that too. The 14074, that's an FT8. That's an FT8. And then 7.031, that's probably a CQ, or I'm sorry, a CW. Wouldn't you think? That's a CW probably.
Yeah. The only, if you switch back to the other view for a second, Ian.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only thing that I don't like about this one is now, like if you look at that first box, it'll say FT8 next to the frequency. See right there?
And it doesn't say that in the other view.
No, it just gives you the frequency.
Well, that's bull crap.
And then
you just gave me a reason not to use my cool mode I found.
And see, and then the next ones, they're all, looks like they're all FTA except this bottom one in California.
There, if you guys can read the letters at that resolution, I'll leave it at that resolution. But yeah, there's the 4 active ones. And you know, the thing about this is right now, these are all digital. Those, I think all 4 of those are either CW or digital right now. There's no voice to even turn it on and try it at this point. But you go during the day, there's a lot of 40 meter and 20 meter during the day, and 17. There's been some people on 17 lately on POTA too. And yeah. I've been trying to call them, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. Most of you probably have better stuff than I got a great radio that's hooked up to a fairly good tuner, that's hooked up to a kind of good wire, that's hooked up to a fairly good wire out in the yard. And it's one of those things where I don't think it's great. So I think that's why I don't get as far. I can't get these guys a lot of time. They're down in the noise. And you know what you hear a lot, just like with contesting. And this is something, listen for this. You'll go to the frequency and you'll hear, and then it'll be dead silent for a while. Then you'll hear, it'll be like 5 units all talking, 5 people talking all at once. And what it is you're not hearing the guy at the park. All you're hearing is the home stations that are responding back to him. So it would be worthless for you to get on that frequency, obviously, because you're not going to hear the guy that you need to talk to. But that is very common with POTA because the stations responding to the park station are stronger, and the park station a lot of times is 5 watts, 20 watts, 50 watts. So they're not getting out like a 200 or 500 watt home station would be.
Yeah. Some of these guys, not all of them, are running like QRP rigs. I usually take my 71 or 7300 out and run it with a full size antenna. Some of these guys are on a QRP rig with a wire strung up in a tree. So you get a little bit of everything out there.
All right, and to finish this up real quick here, that's all under activity. You can go in here. This is where you would this is what's scheduled. Like if you want to look at what's scheduled for tomorrow or whatever, you can actually go in here and see what's scheduled. You can also schedule your going to a park, and that way you'll have a higher probability that people will know you're there because your spot's been there ahead of time and people see that you're going to be there. There is there's plaques, there's all kinds of stuff, there's awards. If you're into awards, they do have an extensive awards program. I mean, if you're into it, it's cool.
Can you go back to the activities side and
Yeah.
spotting one more time?
Sure.
There's one more thing you can do on this page too. Like if we would make a contact with this station in Ohio, what you can do is you can respotting, which is you can click on that button, which you would fill in this little section here and put your information in there. That you comment, we got him 5x9 in Southwest Florida, and what that'll do is it move him from the second position back up to the first, just putting him back so people know he's still out there running. I've seen some of these guys go like an hour without getting spotted, and you just think that they're done. But if you keep on respotting him, he keeps on going back up to the top of the list, and gets better chances of getting more and more contacts.
Yeah, and I actually did respot both the ones I got the other day. And all you really have to do is just put your call sign in. What most people would do is just put 59 SFL in there. But you can also put 73, have a good day, good luck at the park. I mean, they don't really care what you put in there.
And people running, a lot of people run CW on there too. And what they'll put on their spot is they'll put the how fast they're going. So if you're looking for somebody going slower, a lot of these guys on CW will put, up to 20 words a minute or 5 words a minute or whatever. So you can kind of know what they're doing.
And then if you scroll down, you'll see the actual today's activations is what's scheduled. So you can actually look ahead. That's what's great about this is there's a peek into the future. Most people go in and schedule this stuff so you can actually look ahead and see if there's going to be a lot of people out tomorrow. And why is it, even if you activate, I believe there's something special about one park contacting another park. Isn't there something about that? What is it about that?
There isn't really anything special. Most people give preferences to a park to park. So if I'm sitting in a park calling somebody else at a park, I'll say KN4 UKX park to park. And what'll happen is that guy hears park to park. He'll say, go ahead, park to park. And you get points for both parks.
That's cool.
How do you know where these parks are? If I just saw it pop up there on the home page, there is a section that says parks near me, and there's a map, and there's a whole bunch of little yellow dots. Those are all the parks that you can activate.
Yeah,
here's the map, and if you just
you got it.
And I don't know why it always starts there.
I don't know. It's weird, but whatever. I just zoom it out and zoom it
But
back.
if you see all these little dots, they'll show up here. Every one of those is a park with a number, and all those parks are ones that you can activate.
This W2ILY. The reason it starts where it starts is that is 0 latitude, 0 longitude.
I knew there was a reason.
Yeah.
I just wasn't smart enough to figure it out.
But not every park, like you just can't go down to your local park down the street, and more than likely it's not going to be on there. It has to be either a state or federal park to get that number.
You mean we can't activate the swap shop?
No.
Okay.
I've actually ran as a hunter from the swap
We can
shop.
hunt from there. Yeah, you can hunt from anywhere. That's what's great about it. And I'll tell you what, with the amount of noise I get here, I swear I know my rig could talk to these people if I was just away from these power lines in this neighborhood.
That's why I take mine there. I've gone to a couple parks here in Cape Coral and done it. It's all about getting out and, you know, getting out in the sun and everything fun. I'm cooped up in the office 5 days a week. It's nice on a Saturday just to go out and sit in a park for a couple hours.
And then these are all your stats. There's all the awards. It's I was actually I'm not a big award hunter, but I was kind of surprised. It's not going to load now, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. There's a bunch of awards. There's an awards for 10 parks, 50 parks, 100 parks. There's awards for this and awards for that. So if you're into that kind of stuff, there's plenty of that. I don't know why that didn't pull up for me. The Slack thing, I signed up for the thing on Slack, and I think it works. I had it working. Let's see if it'll come up here, but I don't know exactly. It doesn't. I don't know what this does that their website doesn't do, I guess, other than give you like a social media style interface. Is that what it is? I guess.
Yeah, I've never used this, but that's what it looks like.
Well, they said everything, instead of like on their website, it's presented one way. On here, it's presented more like a running chat room of what's going on, like a logbook in a way. So I guess it's just another way. If you've got little phones and stuff, it's another way it can be presented, I guess. But it's connected to this program called Slack. If you want to do it, it doesn't cost anything. And give me some Slack. I don't know if I even need this yet. I haven't figured it out, but I'm just showing you that it's there. I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of a social media plugin that directly connects to POTA, and you can use it through it and all that kind of good stuff. All right. And then you can also, you've got your site preferences here. You can put in different things. I'll just leave that up for a second so you can see these are like the site preferences. You guys can literally sign up for this tonight. There's nothing special that has to be done. You just sign up and boom, you're a part of it. And there's where you submit your logs if you're an activator. If you're a hunter, you don't have to submit logs. That's so important. You know, most people that don't contest, when I ask, you know, I'm one of those kind of people that asks a lot of questions because I'm just an inquisitive SOB. And I ask them all the time, why don't you try contesting? Why don't you like I've talked to people, they're like, I go to field day every year. I hang out. I do this. I love this. I love this. I do this. I got this. I got this. I've never sat down and QSO'd at a contest. I'm just not interested. And I'm like, why? It's so fun. Yeah. And I can't, I ask people all the time, why would you not do it? Why wouldn't you do it? And the number one answer I get back is the complicated BS that surrounds the logging process of a contest. Then I see, you know, it's true. There is. It's the one thing in POTA you don't have to worry about. It's the benefits of contesting, meaning people that want to talk without you have to worry about submitting a logbook and the Cabriello format and all this kind of good stuff. Okay, so that's pretty much across there. And the app pretty much, this works pretty much very similar to the app that's on your phone. You can put this on your tablet, on your phone. It does Apple, it does Android, it does Windows, Chrome, whatever. It does whatever medium you want to put it on. Hold on just 1 second. I got to see what that's about. Some big fire going on up in Worcester, Mass. Active fire event. Huh. Anyway, sorry about that. I get distracted. I use this program called Police Scanner, and it alerts me when there's like an inordinately high number of listeners to a specific scanner in the country, and it's pretty cool. And I get alerts on this before I get alerts from my news sources, which I think is pretty cool. I'll know there's a fire going on somewhere before the local news in that town even has broke it on the internet yet. Anyway, let's get back to this again. Let's switch gears here and take any questions that we might be able to answer for you about POTA. Any questions? Anyone, anywhere? Come now.
Leo, this is Jerry, AB4GW. I was curious, do you use voice or digital? And I was wondering, what do you use for logging? I'm okay with FT8, you know, because that has logging built in. Also, what format are the logs in that you upload? Are they ADIF or something else?
I use sideband. I use I forget the call numbers. It's like N3 JFP or something like that. It's the same thing we use at Field Day. It's the same software. I paid like $30 for it. I get it forever. And then it's out of there, they load them up as like a I can't say the word.
Yeah,
There you go. That file, but it makes it by itself. I just hit a button and it changes the format. The people that you send them to, the K4 at POTA, they're nice guys. They're all hams. They're all volunteer doing it. If you send it to them wrong, they'll email you back, say, hey, you need to do this and this and this and fix it. And then I just resend it. You know, it's that easy. But if you want to make a lot of contacts, it's fun to do. If you're sitting there spinning the dial and you can't find nobody, look at it real quick and you can find stuff. I was hunting one last weekend, and there was a submarine up on Mobile Bay. He was just above them, so I got him too because I just spun up there and found him. You know, but it's fun. You'll find if you're working like sideband on contest days, they'll move up to 17 or 15 meters. They'll move around a lot too. They don't have to stay on they can run on the work bands and stuff like that too. It's not limited to the other bands. But I don't think I've ever went out there and looked and not seen somebody out there activating, because everything is ran on UTC time. So if you activate and then it's midnight UTC, then what they'll do is they'll start another one for the next day, and that'll count as another activation. So they can get actually 2 activations done in one trip to the park. So, and a lot of times now you'll hear people, they'll go out to a park, they'll get 10, and then they'll go to another park and get 10. It's called radar. There's certain distances you have to travel per different mode of vehicle. Like if you're on a boat, you don't have to go so far. If you're in a car, go so many of these radars done each day too. So you'll hear people activate 3 or 4 parks at one time.
I don't know
Okay,
why
thanks.
it won't let me open a bunch of stuff due to the high volume. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. All right. Anyway, all right. Any other questions? Next question.
And like I said earlier, I don't know if I said it in here or not, but you don't have to sit at a park bench and do it. If you have a HF rig sitting in your car, as long as you're in the parking lot of the park, you can activate from there. You got a lot of people out like in the snowbirding down in State Park in the RV, and they do a lot of activations. And there's even a guy up in Alaska now. He's been activating for like the last 20 days. He does it every day out there. And it's actually not just a US thing either. The POTA is starting to catch on all over the world. And there's DX stations you can get on POTA too. The POTA that we looked at was just for the US, but you could do like POTA Bahamas, and they have a different website, but you could be a hunter and get a station in the Bahamas.
All right. Any
But-
other questions? All right. Well, then that brings me to the last thing I want to talk about with POTA. And that's the fact that I'm hoping to get more people that want to get involved in POTA with the club. I know we've got, besides Leo and I, there's probably 4 or 5 others that are into it in the club. And I just wanted to put it out there and let everybody know, if you're interested, get with us. We can get together in 2s and 3s and go out and activate parks and do something as either as a club or as individuals that go out. So I just want to put that out there, that this is something we can do as a little mini club event, or just as a couple of us going out. So if anybody wants to ever go do this on a Saturday or Sunday, just let me know.
If anybody would like to go out, one of the easy ways of doing it too, contact Bob Lewis, who is part of our club. He sets up a little activation once or twice a month. Sometimes he does it during the week. Sometimes it's on the weekends. Bob Lewis is also real big into the POTA, and we've been up to, we went to Hickey Point, and then we went to the park up on Tucker's Grade. I went to those 2 with him. But the first time going out, sometimes it's easier being with somebody else so they can kind of show you the road. But yeah, email Bob Lewis, and there's a little email list going around, and he'll email you saying, hey, this date we're going to go here. I don't have my email up right now, but there's one that he's going to do here in a couple of weeks. I think it's on a Monday, and then one it's on a weekend. It's about a month out. If anybody wants to know the dates, email me and I can forward you the emails.
There you go. So I mean, we're already starting to get coordinated here. I like that. I mean, I think this is going to be something that we can do that's fun, and we may add that soda. Look at that soda thing too. Are you doing anything with soda?
Well, the soda
besides drinking it.
Soda is summits on the air, and I don't think there's any mountains around here.
So you have to have a mountain to do it. Well, that's exclusive.
No, these guys like backpack up. They haul all their gear up to the top of a mountain. They walk in and run this thing on top of a mountain someplace.
We could hike all the way up to the middle of Cape Coral.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, the POTA information will be on the website.
Cool. It's the website's becoming the destination on the web. I love it.
Yeah. And to go out and do a park, it's not really that difficult. If you got the stuff in your car, it's real easy. When I go and do it, I just bring my battery and a radio and throw up an antenna. That's all it really takes.
And I just want to say this one more time. I said it before we started, and I think I've only said it one other time. I don't want to be too repetitive, but one really important part of this, you can do this without ever leaving the comfort of your own home. You can be a hunter from anywhere, from your car, on the way to work. You can do it from anywhere. So I'm just letting you guys know, you don't have to ever activate a park to be very active in POTA.
Yeah.
So,
I like on the awards. If you look on the awards, there's a whole section of awards for park activators. There's a whole section of awards for hunters. So you can actually work either side or both sides if you want to.
for some reason, I can't get the awards page to come up. It's weird. I don't know. But anyway, that's not a big deal to a lot of people anyway, but suffice it to say it, they will reward you if you get busy in there. But I think to me, it's cool again, because I like phone and I can never find anybody on phone. And it gives, and what this does is it tells me exactly where they're going to be and it pins it down.
And I also know that Ian doesn't like, rag chewing on phone, and it's not a rag chewing thing. It's reports and on to the next one. So,
right. Not quite as aggressive as like a big contest or something, kind of more like Winterfield Day, not too aggressive. But yeah, they do exchange and go. The one guy did talk. We went back and forth a little bit about the weather or something. He told me he used to live down here or something. I forget. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty quick, and I like that too. Wham bam, thank you, ham. That's why I like my FT8. I don't want to sound like a snob, but sometimes I just want to be in the shack by myself.
Can you,
Sorry.
excuse me, can somebody explain the term spot, respot, and self-spot? I see all three of those terms on the screen right now.
Leo?
What you do when you get to a park, this is only for the people at the park, the first section, is you would go out there and spot yourself. You'd say, here's my call, here's my frequency, here's where I'm at, and then put a comment in there. If you're running a CW, you would say like your speed or something like that. That would be your first spot. And then you'd hit spot, and then you'd pop up here to the top of the list. What the hunters can do, the people sitting at their home, once you talk, like if you talk to this JG7 NIF, you can respot him, which is if you click on that spot, it's basically the same thing again, but your call sign would be into the spotter's call sign section. And then most people put where they're at. And what that does is it just keeps them back up on top of the list there. And so when people are looking for a park, they just said, I'm in South Florida, this guy in South Florida, just talk to him. Let me try to get him. But it's just a way of keeping up and letting people know where you're at when you're out at a park. And not everyone spots, but most people will, if you see them out there, if you find somebody that's not spotted, you can spot them also. You can just go up to the top and hit add a spot and go from there.
And
Okay.
you don't have to talk to them to spot them. You just have to hear them. And then as long as you can hear them clearly, you can spot that you heard them from where you are, even without talking to them, correct? I believe I'm correct about that. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there's a rule that you had to talk to them, but
Right. I didn't either. I just wanted to, I didn't want to speak out of the wrong hole or anything.
But no,
Right.
it's just, this is, I kind of call it cheating, where you don't have to spin the dial and tune in somebody to find them. Like I'll just punch in, the frequency right into the radio and go right to that channel, and they're sitting right there. It takes away all the searching on the waterfall or spinning the dial to try to find somebody. It'll just take you right there and put you right on top of them.
Remember that on a really busy day, these spots are going to be moving pretty quickly. So this guy that's in the top row that you work right now, by the time you're done working him, he may be 6 or 7 rows down that web page. So it's really the good thing to do to respot the guy to bring him back to the top so somebody else knows to work him.
Yeah, back in 2016, when I did National Parks on the Air, spotting was my lifeblood. Every time I made a contact, I asked them if they could spot me on DX Summit, and that just kept me flooded with contacts.
Yeah, because like when I'm doing like hunting from the house, I pull it up on my phone, and the first guy on the list, that's the first guy I try to get. So if he's working a lot of stations, keep him up on the top. I've also been on my phone and had all the stuff there to copy it down, and then I had to scroll down 3 or 4 because he's moved. It doesn't sit there.
Yeah, it even moves so fast sometimes that you'll be reading the line. Like when I have it on the lines, you'll be reading it and it'll blip, blip, blip down while you're reading it. And you're actually reading along and getting the wrong information because it changed while you were reading it. I've actually had it do that to me while I was actually in the middle of reading something. So you got to kind of watch it because it does keep refreshing almost instantly. All right, guys. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Another thing to remember on spots is that a lot of these guys are out pretty rural in some of these parks, and they might not have cell service or internet service to be able to spot themselves. So when you work one, be a nice guy and spot him, help him out so the next guy can work him.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to do, and spotting somebody over and over and over is not going to hurt them at all. The only thing it's do is going to keep them up at the top of the list.
All right. Any more questions on Parks on the Air? All right. I think we've beat it to death. It's really not that deep of a topic, folks. It's fun. It's easy. It's not, trust me, I've run into a lot of things a lot more complicated than this in ham radio. All right.
And
Last call on last call on POTA.
And if you want to learn anything more about it, there's a YouTube guy that really got me into it. It's called Ham Radio Stuff. And he used to live in Michigan. Now he's in Texas. But this is what his big passion is POTA. And you can go out there and watch videos. There's 90% of his videos is him at a park working POTA. And it kind of gives you, a trial run at it, watching him do it.
All right. What I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to switch gears, and I'm going to open it up to anyone. Before we do that, I want to make one quick announcement. Steve Smith, W9 GPI, has volunteered to come in one of the coming weeks and present to us WinLink forms on Raspberry Pi. That's going to be a good night. So that should be good. And we're going to be doing that probably in 2 or 3 Fridays. So I just wanted to put that out there to everybody that's thinking about getting a Raspberry Pi. If you're not laid off like me, go ahead and order one. The 400's the one I think he's using, the one that's a keyboard. It's like built into a keyboard. Anyway, so that should be pretty cool. So that's going to be coming up. That WinLink is a big deal. All right, so let's open it up to the next topic. Someone bring the next topic, and then we'll run it around and see what we got on it. Who has the next topic?
I'd like to make a comment on WinLink.
Go ahead, John.
You don't have to have a Pi to do WinLink. You can do it on any computer.
Matter of fact, it's a lot easier on Windows.
Quite frankly, yes, it is. And it just seems like everything we've heard about WinLink the last few weeks have been in the context of doing it on a Pi. But you can do it on a desktop or a laptop or whatever as well. And there is a net called the Florida WinLink Net that their focus is checking in by as many different means as you can with a WinLink message. That meaning through the Fort Myers VHF server, the Lehigh UHF server, the Bonita UHF server, and VARA HF, RDOP HF, peer-to-peer with any of several different stations and different bands. And so kind of their focus is to have more tools in your box, have multiple routes that if you need to get a WinLink message out, you've got more than one way to do it other than just Telnet.
That's cool. I can't wait to get a working WinLink.
Well, hey, Ian.
Yeah.
Just to add to what John said too, you don't even need a TNC or a sound card. You can always run it on Telnet and just run it through the regular internet, but still practice using your WinLink program. So you don't have to use RF to send them out. You can actually send them through Telnet, which is just using your local internet. But it's the same. It's just the sending out process is a little bit different if you do it on RF. But at least you get to use the program.
Well, if I get my FT100 set up to where it'll work with FT8, then I believe it will work with WinLink as well. I'm hoping. And then I would have it on 2 meter and 70 centimeter. All you need with WinLink is a clear audio in and out. I will have that with FT8. And if I've got it into a radio that also does 2 meter and 70 centimeter, then I should also be able to do the WinLink with it too, I would hope.
If you're
That's-
able to do FT8, you can do WinLink.
That's what I'm saying. As soon as I can get the FT8 all configured over working on my FT100, because I've still got it on my ICOM, I want to get it off my $1,000 ICOM and over on my $300 FT100, so I can run the wheels off of something that's a little cheaper. But I also, that would give me WinLink capability too, and God knows what else that would give me, because I've got all modes, all bands with this thing.
So why would you not want to be able to do it on both radios?
Well, I could do it with this other radio. It would just be a matter of plugging it in, because I've got the sound box that Tom Mewey gave me for that one. So I can just, it's just a matter of plugging it in. I could probably do HF WinLink right now. I wouldn't know who to talk to, but you said there's a net for that. You know,
Talk to me away from here, and I can probably give you some pointers. And Dave, WG4K, he's another very knowledgeable guy about WinLink. He's can help you a lot too. But yeah, if you can do FT8 on HF, there's no reason you couldn't do WinLink.
and see, because my rig doesn't go above 6 meters, I never really thought about doing it with the ICOM. But there is ways. I mean, there is places to do it with in the lower frequencies. So
Yeah, there are HF WinLink nodes all over the country, and generally I hit a couple or 3 of those every week, just doing my Florida WinLink net, and to make sure I can reach the different paths. Yeah, you don't have to be on 2 meter or 70 centimeter to do WinLink. There are HF servers all over the country.
Well, that's cool. See, I didn't realize it was that big a deal. So let me we'll talk about it. You're gonna be at, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at Swap Shop.
Yeah, I should be. Yep.
All right, good. We'll talk about it tomorrow then, because I'm gonna play with that this weekend. We'll see if maybe we can send a message or something. Because I need to catch up on WinLink. I will admit it's probably my weakest link right now with the stuff that I need to be up to speed on. So, all right. And I'm going to tell you why. In one sentence, WinLink's probably the best thing that's ever happened to eComms. I think I can honestly say that, because we've taken it out of the realm of the errors that are involved in voice traffic. And we put it into something that's an exact basically an exact copy of what we said on the other end. And I think that's awesome. All right, so let's move on. Next topic. Anybody have another topic we can discuss and tear apart? It can't be politics.
Don't forget the ArcNet on Thursday night, or on Thursdays, which is a good WinLink exercise also.
That's called ArcNet?
American Red Cross.
Oh, okay. I know them. Okay.
I think they're only doing that one Thursday a month now, though, aren't they?
That's correct. It's finally changed over to just once a month.
But yes, by all means, Ian, get yourself on their email list as well, so you'll get notifications when they're having their exercises.
Yeah, no, I'd like to do that too. I think it'd be a good thing. I like WinLink. I like the idea of it. I think it's awesome. I just haven't had the equipment for it, and Steve let me borrow a radio that he had, and it wouldn't work with my laptop, and it's just been kind of a weird thing going on. Anyway, all right, let's go to what does somebody want to talk about? Anything, any topic except politics and religion.
Hey, Ian, it's Jerry,
Yeah.
AB4GW.
What's
You
up, Jerry?
mentioned you
I
have a
saw
lot.
you on FT8 the other night.
Yeah, saw you too. That was fun.
Yeah, what's up?
Well, you mentioned about having a lot of a high noise level at your QTH.
Mhm.
Me and a couple of my friends have had luck calling the power company and having them come out and fix things to reduce the noise level. They're sort of mandated by the FCC to do that, because they're really not allowed to broadcast in our frequencies. So they'll come right out, at least in Cape Coral. they came right into the shack. They hook up a tester and go through the frequencies and look at the noise levels. And then they'll put in a work order to come out and fix what's radiating. They told me they can't ever fix everything, but you know, if you call them, they'll come out and try to reduce your noise level in your area. So I just wanted to make you aware of that, because that was something fairly new to me. I never had to do before. And you being new, I just wanted to mention that to you, that is something that you can do to try to improve your situation.
That's a good thought. As a matter of fact, I have never thought of that, but that's an interesting idea, and I'm going to probably get to that point at some point, because I think. Well, let me ask you guys: what frequencies does power lines affect more? Is there a frequency it affects more? Because it seems to really kill me at 40 meters. It just destroys me at 40 meters. And
I think it can be anywhere.
yeah,
You know, if you tell them where you're having the problem, they'll look at that frequency, you know, and then they'll say, oh yeah, you know, we see something, and you know, they'll schedule a line crew to come out and fix whatever the problem is. But they told me that there's really nothing that the power lines do better than radiate noise. So they should try to help you out.
yeah. Well, lucky I've got some good and bad here. I mean, the power lines only come up to the corner of my property, and it's at the end of a dead end line. And then I'm on a corner lot, so I've got my wires run out towards the corner. So I've got a little bit of separation from neighbors, and I've got a little bit of separation from the power. But I seem to get this high noise floor all the time. I tried all day, but for like 3 hours today, to make a POTA contact on 40 meters this morning. And every single one of them was down in the noise. I couldn't hear. I heard them, and you know when you're hearing them and you know what they're saying. You know, they're saying, and I know he's saying CQ POTA, but I just can't make the letters out. You know, and every one of them was like that. They were just down in the noise. You know,
I have an idea.
Yeah.
The meters are not read by meter readers anymore. They're probably in some sort of a mesh network on 2.4 or something. Could that be a source of a problem?
It could be. I have no idea. I will tell you, my shack is in fairly close proximity to my meter. But that's something that would probably only transmit intermittently, I would think. But who knows?
I kind of thought they went somehow back over the power lines for them, but I'm not familiar with the technology. It may be on radio.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
From what I understand, they don't radiate all the time. They're interrogated from the meter reading center. So
Right.
they interrogate each meter and read it. So it doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
But is it a mesh network, or as Jerry said, some sort of subcarrier on the line?
It's on the power line.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
I had people out here to check mine twice now, and they read all frequencies, even beyond the my 160 meters, and they found 3 transformers within half a mile of my property that were all defective. They were arcing inside, and it took them about 2 weeks to get those transformers replaced. Then they came back after that was done and read all the frequencies again, and they found out that I also had something from the shopping center, one of those LED displays they have out in front, you know, with all the different places that are in the shopping center, was putting out interference on VHF and UHF. So they went out and they had to install some type of suppressor on that
Oh,
sign
wow.
to, to get that away. So it took altogether about 2 months to get rid of most of the noise. I still get some, but that's, that's expected.
Well, how do you differentiate between local RF noise and global?
They were able to the meters that they use show all the spectrum, and they were able to tell what was coming in local and what is natural radiation and so forth in the air, and the ones that were way up on the meters were all local. That's where they first determined that the the transformers were defective. He said one of them was 40 years old.
Is that to imply that the transformers have a substantial peak identifiable frequency?
No, they get the original reading here, and then they go around to all the different areas with their equipment, and they use just an antenna on top of the truck, and that tells them where the strongest interference at that time is on that particular band, and then they send someone up on the pole to check out the transformer. Most of the time, the transformers start going bad when the oil in them is dried out.
Is it typically a multiple of 60 or 120?
Most of mine was on 40, 20, and a lot on 160.
No, I mean a multiple of the 60 cycle.
No, it can be pretty steady all the way across, especially if they're arcing inside, like the one they had there. It was just, I had a constant S8 noise on 40 meters, and it would never go away. And when they came out and checked it, then they went over there. Well, it was at the fire station transformer as the one that they had to change out.
Remember that interference doesn't always just come from power lines. It can come from any number of things that either intentionally or unintentionally radiate. I know a few years ago, we were having interference on a local repeater that was coming out of a telephone facility. And a group of guys from the club finally tracked it down with aero antennas and handheld radios and figured out, pinpointed it to exactly what cabinet it was coming from inside a telephone facility, and got it addressed that way. And so it's not always from power lines.
Yeah, and I got a.
Yeah, also remember all these little chargers you have around the house for your cell phone and for your, whatever.
Wall warts.
Yeah, they will give you interference on the HF bands.
And so will grow lights on 440.
Well, not all of us grow our own though, Tom.
Yeah, well, I just happen to remember with Larry Zimmer's daughter and Paul got involved with tracing down some interference on 440, and it turned out to be this house that had a bunch of grow lights in it.
That'd give the cops just another way to find them now. Well, I got to give you my strange electromagnetic interference story for the night. All right, you guys know, in my last career here, I was a paranormal researcher, and we were called out to a home where a girl had started living there, and she was having night terrors at about 3:15 every night. And they called us in to investigate because they literally were down to, it has to be a ghost. What else could it be? So we go in there, we set up all of our equipment and everything else, and nothing. It's dead all night long. We're getting nothing on any of our meters, nothing on any of our digital dowsing equipment, nothing. Nobody's getting any chills. Nobody's feeling nothing. This place is dead. Get a pizza. Nothing here. 3:15 in the morning, all of our electromagnetic stuff goes crazy in this one bedroom, where the girl lives, where the girl stays, where nobody had lived in this room for years, but this little girl had come to live with her grandparents, and she's having night terrors in this spare room. Well, it was the pool pump. The pool pump was right outside the wall, literally 15 inches from her skull. And it was putting out an electromagnetic field that stretched out to my car in the front yard. Okay. I mean, it was putting out a field like you wouldn't believe. And when this thing would come on at 3:30 in the morning, it would scramble her eggs enough that she'd wake up with night terrors. So that's a hell of an electromagnetic field. And we investigated. We told him, we found your problem. We've solved your problem. Has nothing to do with ghosts. You need a plumber. That's my story. Back to you. All right. Who's next? Oh, come on. Somebody can top that crap. All right.
Oh, okay, I'll have to tell you this one.
All right.
A ham friend of mine decided he needed a beam antenna on top of his garage in Erie, Pennsylvania. And he was fat, dumb, and happy and operating along. And one night the police knocked on his door and asked him if he'd seen any flying saucers. Basically, because the woman that lives behind him and a little bit off center from his backyard was reporting seeing flying saucers. It happened to be a really, really dense fog out. And every time he got on there, he would generate corona with his voice. And of course, when the police would come and knock on the door, which they did 2 more times, he wouldn't be operating. But he was generating enough of a signal to where he was causing a corona around his being. And the little old lady, I guess, was never happy after that.
And I'd like a kicker like that. All right. Let's. Is there any other topics or anything else anybody would like to discuss tonight? Anything at all? Anything you've built? Anything you're having problems with? Anything you want to complain to John about? Anything? Yeah, I'm picking on you, John.
I would like to bring up something, but I'm not prepared to do it right now. I think I'll do it at our next meeting. I have talked to John about this, a global system whereby there would be a bunch of repeaters around the world that would test propagation characteristics. For instance, if we had one in Fort Myers and one in California, it would be able to ping once in a while and say, okay, we're pretty good at 80, 40, lousy at 20, or 10, whatever, so that you would actually be able to save some time and look at this worldwide propagation system and be able to say, well, geez, I'm not going to use this frequency. I'm going to use this one because this propagation, worldwide skip propagation system will give us better characteristics. So just a dream.
Yeah, we talked about that too, and we went through there's some neat stuff out there like PSK Reporter and different things like that, but I couldn't find anything exactly like what you're talking about, and I sure wish there was. It would be so cool. I do get a lot of that same information from PSK Reporter because I can set it on a specific band, and then I can set it for like the last 10 minutes, and it shows me all the contacts that were made in the last 10 minutes on that band. It takes a little longer because it's represented by each particular band, but you can get a real vision for what propagation's running where. So it's not so bad, but I agree there could be something much better, and I think we'll eventually get it.
They do have beacons.
Yeah, and they have a thing called Whisper.
Yeah, I've not really studied much on Whisper. I haven't messed with that yet.
But I kind of like to see a global picture of a circle, the globe, with skip zones and frequency information signal strength information, probability, time duration, things like that. And seems that there are a lot of, if we can do GPS positioning within a tenth of a foot, this seems like it's something that somebody should invent.
You would think that there would be enough data already existing between all these different systems that they would be able to already extrapolate this and have it out there. I don't know. I've heard of Whisper, but I haven't really looked into it. Weak signal propagation. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to look into that one this weekend. All right. Anyway, let's all right. See, now you got me interested. I'll have to look into that one later. I'll have to look into that later when we get done tonight. But anyway, let's move on. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? Anything else anybody wants to mention real quick?
Check your local FMARC.net.
Ian, if you're going to meet John at the swap shop and you're going to take a laptop with you, make sure you got WinLink downloaded in there. And then he'll show you how to check for a station on HF. And it will tell you what your best path for propagation is to do an HF contact. Right, John?
Yes, that's real easy to do.
All right, yeah, we'll figure that out, or we can Zoom and do a screen capture or a team viewer or something. There's lots of ways to do this, John. We'll figure it out. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I would love to see if I can get, because if I can get that going, I think I can get everything moved over to the FT100 this weekend, which means I would be fully functional like data. Okay, but nobody got the Star Trek reference. Oh man. All right, never mind. All right. Anything else? What else is going on? Any other projects people are working on? Live long and prosper. That's correct. Anything anybody else is working on? You want to talk about how CBS running Star Trek? No? All right, we'll skip that one for tomorrow. Damn CBS. And I technically work for a CBS affiliate. That's the bad part. It's like, but we're
Didn't
locally.
you just say you got laid off?
Yes, I work part-time for Sun Broadcasting. I got laid off from my full-time Fort Myers broadcasting job. It's kind of a complicated thing. I worked 40 hours a week in the Wink newsroom, and I worked 10 hours a week, 10 hours a day producing for the radio. It's two different companies. But when they laid me off from the newsroom, the radio station picked me back up for 15 more hours. So I'm getting 25 hours total where I was getting 50 before. So it's half the pay and a $3 loss per hour. Yeah. Radio's not allowed to make as much as TV because we're uglier.
Yeah, but you get to play ham radio more.
Yeah, I know. Radio's better anyway. TV people suck. Anyway,
I've always been told I have a face for radio.
Yeah. A face for radio and a voice for print. There's been 2 or 3 radio guys over the years that signed off. This is so-and-so with the face for radio and the voice for print. But anyway, Ian Punnett on Coast to Coast used to sign off that way. I know for one anyway. All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about? Anything except politics? I will draw the line there.
Sex.
I'm not drawing the line.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Maybe I
I'm
should.
not sure I see
Okay,
it.
we'll do that.
Have that conversation with.
I just, it's just icky. A bunch of old men sitting around talking about that on Zoom. So we'll just move on to the next one. Okay, I guess we're done. We could sit here till the first person nods off. Okay, guys, it's been fun. I hope to see everybody at the swap shop tomorrow, where we'll either be outside or socially distanced and masked. And I hope everybody will be there. I got to tell you, the swap shop is one of my funnest functions. Funnest. I just used a word I haven't used since I was 12. Funnest. It's the awesomest and funnest. All right. Other than that, that's it. That's all I got.
Ian,
Yeah.
you have WinLink loaded on a laptop or a desktop computer at home, correct?
Yeah, I've got it on both my laptops.
So you have used it at least on Telnet.
Yeah, I can use Telnet. I can get on Telnet and use it. Sure.
Okay.
And I've sent a number of emails back and forth to Steve and stuff on Telnet.
Okay.
It's the radio part I haven't got working.
Make sure you have the latest versions of VARA, VARA, and VARA HF and VARA FM.
VARA HF and VARA what?
VARA HF and VARA FM.
FM, okay. All right.
And you can download those for free. They'll try to get money out of you, but you don't absolutely have to pay for it. And it is kind of expensive.
It's blood in a stone right now.
But you can use it without paying for the subscription. It's just a little faster if you pay for the subscription.
Hey, somebody's playing my song. Somebody playing my song. That's FT8.
Background music.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite album.
But
yeah, it's Wham Bam Thank You Ham by the FT8s.
Yeah. But
you ain't right, boy.
Get those on your computer because there's some of the best stuff that has come out for WinLink.
Okay, I'll install that stuff tomorrow too, and then at some point over the weekend or something, maybe we can get together and talk about it.
Okay.
Because yeah, that would be fun. I'm gonna.
Well, that's your homework, is to get the most update VARA.
I can do that, and it's right in my price range, so good. Being that I don't have to pay for it. All right, I guess that's it. Guys, it's been fun. I got to tell you, I'm having a blast doing this. I hope this is working for you guys. We've had one of our smallest audiences tonight, but I think that's only because maybe the fact that I didn't come up with a topic until like 18 minutes before the show, or actually it was like a day. And maybe it's partially because it's a topic that doesn't interest the people that don't have HF. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Not a big deal though. No biggie. We had a good time. I think this format's working. And if you guys ever have any input, you can pass it to me in an email. I would really appreciate that. I'm wide open to input. And the last thing I want to say is please come to me with any topics that you want to present. Anything. I know several of you have mentioned tonight different topics that you might be interested in. And I got Steve coming up doing the WinLink thing. So if you've got a topic you want to do, get with me. As you know, I don't put you on the spot. We'll do it together. We'll go through it, and it's not like a big deal. So just let me know what you want to do. I would love for somebody to come one night and be able to demonstrate some of these other digital modes. JT, FX8, and more, and all these others. Yeah. I have it. I don't know what they're all called yet. I got to tell you, ham radio is no place for someone that's got a little bit of dyslexia going on. All the letters and numbers, everything's letters and numbers. Hey man, did you get my 4L295B? And I can't remember. I'm dude. And then even my name is KO4E. They gave me the worst call letters. You know, everywhere I check in screws up my call letters. They always say FX or EFX or XFX at the end. They have no idea.
Get a vanity call before they start charging for it.
You know, honest to God, Jerry, I was going to get a vanity call the moment I got in. I was going to get my general, get a vanity right off the bat, like a 2x2 or whatever you can get. I was going to do that. And then the moment this became me, I don't know. I'm kind of a brand guy. It's my brand. It's my brand. I don't want to change my brand now.
I changed mine after 40 years, so you can do it.
Yeah. That wasn't part of like a relocation program or anything, right? No,
The marshals told me to do it. Yeah.
That's what I said. 40 years. No, but I'm thinking, you know, but I don't know. I'm kind of back to almost wanting to do it again, because I'm going to tell you, I always kept saying, well, everybody makes a big deal of, I got a 2x2, I got a 2x1, I got a 1x2, I got a front. I don't give a crap. Then I did then I did contesting with W4LX. W4LX. That's so easy compared to that crap I got to say every time I call CQ.
Yeah. I don't know. You can't get the real short ones unless you have an extra class.
Yeah, I know. But now, and I was never going to do that. I was never going to get the extra class. What a waste.
Neither was I, but I got
now
one
I'm thinking
about 2
doing
years
that.
ago.
Now I'm wanting to do that. I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to just study the answers, though. I don't think I can ever learn all that stuff.
Oh, no, that's what you want to pass the test. So. Oh, and by the way, when I picked AB4GW, of course, my name's Jerry Whistler, stands for
Right.
a beer for Jerry Whistler.
There you go.
See, mine's another contact for Tom Mewey.
There you go. There you go. It was confusing when I first started why some people have repeaters and some people don't. Because that Tom guy, he's got his own repeater. So to this day, I still refer to that one in a stereo as Tom's repeater. In my mind, that's what it'll always be, Tom's repeater. Anyway, let me see. Was there anything? You know, it was a good meeting. Good meeting this week. We had a good lunch bunch this week. It was a great day to be an amateur radio guy. A great week. And the Thursday night, I did the thing with the newbies. And it went really, really well. I gave them a sheet with both mine and Popeye's contact information on it. And hold on, since you guys are hanging around, indulge me for a second.
Yeah,
I'll cut Ian off here. I want Whiskey 4 LEO, but some guy in California already has it.
and by the way, Ian, thanks much for picking up the newbie net on Monday night. I needed to be over with the Zoom meeting for the Miami-Dade club. So I appreciate you picking it up.
Hey, no problem. You know what? I love net controlling. It's kind of a love of mine now. I don't know. I enjoy it. So anytime. Absolutely. I did pretty good considering I had no script and had never done it before and had never really, I had net controlled the Sunshine Net one time, which is a pretty big net. That's like a 2-hour net. And then I've done my own net and that's pretty much it. No, I just went, I went and I sat down and I want to tell these guys when they come out of the testing, I want you to get involved right away. So I actually went and I wrote up like this whole list of everything that you can do with the Amateur Radio Club in the first week that you're a member. And it's really cool. And I really got these guys interested in everything. And it started off with the swap shop this weekend. This the traffic net, the loggerhead net. You know, the two guys I talked to already have Baofengs at home. So tomorrow I'm bringing my computer and I'm bringing
something to brag about.
Well, it's the difference between talking on the radio and not talking on the radio. I guess that's not a big deal, but it's all right.
Look, actually, I think maybe you need to disseminate that list to the rest of the organization.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a bad thing. But no, I think it's pretty cool. And every single day, I want you to think about this. We've got the traffic net, and then we've got Saturday swap shop, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We've got every single day. We've got something going on for the club. And I thought, that's pretty good. And so I exploited that and said, look, here's all the things you can do in the first week. And I really believe that those two guys are going to become active members now because we got through to them, I think. Anyway.
Well, don't forget to mention on there that they can go anytime, 24/7, 365 to the fmarc.net website.
Oh, that's on there. Right here in the middle, there's a whole paragraph here about the FMARC website. You can see right there's the website right there.
Awesome.
See it?
Awesome. Good.
There it is, right there, right there. All right. And as a matter of fact, I think I even put the FMARC website is a wealth of knowledge for new ham radio operators. There you'll find resources, calendars of activities, information about programs, and general information about your club and your board of directors. The club produces a club newsletter that is a great source of information as well. Just click on the news tab. Get up and call in now.
Good job. Good job.
Maybe I should read it. It sounds better. I just read it to them and say, here, come in here and sit and listen to this for a few minutes.
Do a video. We'll email it to everybody.
That's what I could do. That's what I could do. Well, you got this. I literally do this for me. Yes, I do it in I actually do about 4 different radio voices. You know, I do the news voice where I'm reading the news. And, you know, anybody can read the news, John. You could read the news today, as you know, because you used to. You could read the news today. All you have to do is end every sentence just like this. That's all you have to do. And then when you read the next line, you just end it the same way.
Oh
Back to
my
you,
God.
John. I love Trey and I sit there. And it's funny. We sit there and we make fun of the news people, and they're back there behind us, running by in the windows, right behind us, running by, and we're making fun of them.
The reason I'm laughing so hard is that you just nailed my very first news director from 40 years ago.
Yep.
You nailed Bud to a T right there.
Because you know what people say? Oh, you're a news guy. No, but I play one on the radio.
Exactly.
Because nobody ever taught me how to be a news guy. I acted like the guy I heard on the radio. And I would start at 2 people died today in a plane crash when it didn't quite make the end of the runway, you know, and you know what I found out? If you move your head like this when you're talking, it makes you sound more like a news guy. See, like when you're talking, you move your head just a little bit like this, and then you make sure that each sentence ends like this. That's pretty much all there. It's really anybody can read the news. It's simple. They've even got computers reading it now. You listen to stuff now, and it's like, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, that's not a real person. They're getting pretty good. They're getting these news readers and stuff are getting pretty good.
Yeah,
It
they're a
won't
lot
be-
cheaper.
Yeah, they are. They're probably about the same age as most of these news people, though. You know, I got to tell you something. The average age in our newsroom, if you take talent and executive producers out of the mix, our average age in our newsroom is 23. It's nuts. I mean, our investigative people are a little older. They're good, been good doing it a while. Of course, we've got our on-air talent that's been doing it a while. You know, Lois and them guys been doing it a long time. But then when you get right down to the people that write your news, yeah, they're like 11 teen, just got out of some liberal arts college in Nevada, and they moved here for their first job in journalism.
You know, my very first job in radio, the transmitter and the board were older than I was.
Yeah. I think when I started in radio, our board was installed in 1988, which was the year I graduated high school. And, but it's been just replaced a couple years ago now. And our transmitter is a good 30, 35 years old. And they just keep refixing it.
Yeah, I got my first job in radio in 1980. And the board in our AM studio was a 1953 model.
Oh my gosh, turn dials. Yeah.
Yep.
Big, it looked like a washing machine on the front.
And old gates with 5 dials on each side, the Q speaker
Yep.
in the middle, and the front of it folded down for service. It actually had tubes inside.
Mm.
And every time our engineer would open the front of it, those old cloth insulated wires were so brittle that whatever he was working on, he might fix, but something else would invariably break because
Yep.
everything was just so old and so brittle from being used every day for 27 years.
Yep. Yeah,
have
nothing ever gets turned off in a radio station.
Right.
I have a radio story. I used to work in a station called WMAS in Springfield, Mass. in 1969, and they had in a room across from the studio, the console was a room with a transmitter from the 30s. And one day the 5,000 watt Collins transmitter failed, and they said, "Well, can you turn this thing on back here?" I said, "I'm not even going to touch it." You know, big tubes and 40-year-old capacitors, and
That
it
was
really
probably built. It sounds like it was built by Marconi himself.
Yeah, a few years later, maybe.
Oh man, I love it. Yeah, ours is only a 25,000 watt transmitter, and it's about 30 years old, sitting down there. I think it's been replayed. Different things been put in it, but it's you know how these things are. They'll just keep replacing parts because new transmitters don't necessarily last as long as the old ones, and they'll just keep putting those parts in that old one as long as they can get them.
Another story about this station, WMAS. I met Roy Cohn. He bought it. And boy, that guy was a weasel. I talked with him in the hallway. He was sort of short and nasty. And he changed the format from what I was doing, which is kind of free form, playing, Jimi Hendrix and the Eagles and the Beatles. And he wanted to form that into a top 40 station. He brought this guy in, and I said, "Goodbye, I quit." So that's my Roy Cohn story.
Here's my story. I quit him. I love it. I got to tell you, radio is it's a disgusting, horrible business. I think it probably always has been. But right now it's become such a nasty, cutthroat business that they've narrowed it down to just the bare minimum number of people it takes to run it. Right now at my station, most people don't realize this. They think we've got this big staff. Oh, this huge staff. I'm a part-time afternoon producer. Jake's our part-time morning producer. We've got a full-time program director. And then we got our 2 hosts. There's 5 of us that run that entire radio station and everything involved with it. Everything except the sales. We have a sales staff, of course, but other than sales, we run the entire operation. Everything you hear, everything gets recorded, everything gets put in, all the financial reports, all the news, everything that happens, it all happens all day long. There's only 3 of us that really work at that station. The other 2 are hosts. It's when you think about it, there's 2 part-time guys and a full-time guy that run that entire, and that's the #1 radio station in Southwest Florida. It's just kind of crazy when you think about it. But then you think that there's the Arrow down the hall. You know how many employees the Arrow 94.5 has, which is a great station, by the way. It has a program director that's also the program director of another station. So it's got basically a 20 hour a week program director. And that's it. There's no one else that works at that station. It's completely automated. There's a room that sits there with a board, with little blue lights that blink on it, but nothing happens. It literally just sits there, and the whole station's automated. And all the guy does is he makes those little quinky dink things you hear. You hear on Bob, Bob FM. Well, Bob wants to play more music, but he has to said he's got to play a break. Well, Arrow just does the same thing. They just don't use the word Bob. And they're basically just doing these little like liners between songs. And it's a completely automated station. And without considering sales, the entire payroll week for that station is 20 hours. And when you think about it, man, that's crazy when you think that 80,000 people listen to that station every day, and it's all done by like a part-time guy. I don't know. It's a little weird for me to think about it. Oh well. Oh, and that's another thing. When this COVID thing's over, I'm going to arrange for people anytime they want. I'm going to bring people on tours down there. I can do tours of the whole building, 7 radio stations and 4 TV stations. I just can't do it right now. I want to set that up for the club and make a few dates and do some tours down there because it's a great facility down there. All right. I feel like I'm talking to myself. Is there anything else?
Nothing to add from here.
Leo, I can't hear you. I could see lips moving. I am not good at reading lips.
You see, you talk them into putting a ham shack in there. Put a antenna up on their big tower. Use some of their old, pump out some big wattage through there.
Would be cool. You ever wonder why? Did you guys notice that the big wink eye that used to be up there, the big CBS eye that was on the globe up there, that was our Doppler radar? You notice it disappeared a while back. They had it taken down. Do you guys want to know why they had it taken down? Wind loading on the tower. Every time the wind would blow, it would bring our microwave beams would go off just enough that we would get a skip on some of our tower, on some of our what we call STLs, the site transmitter links, and we would get a little skip in the VHF or UHF, I'm sorry, signal that we're beaming down there. And we have, with all of our stations, have a UHF link between the station and the tower. It's a one-way UHF link. And then we have an internet backup link. So if something happens to that, it drops out, the internet picks it up in like 1 second. We were having issues on windy days, and they figured it was because that ball on top was creating so much wind resistance that the tower was moving just enough to take the beams off.
So did that end up in your garage?
No. It had quit working about 7 years. You know, they quit using it. They shut it off. And you want to know why? They built those buildings across the street. And the radar looked like a pizza with 3 slices taken out of it. Not to mention the poor schmuck up there that gets his balls irradiated every time that thing goes by. I think about stuff like that. You know, you're sleeping up there. Every time that thing goes by, it goes right through everything. You got to worry about getting cancer. Just saying. Anyway, other than that, there's not much on that tower. We don't have any radio stations that broadcast from our tower. All that tower is there for is site transmitter links and our monitors, so we can monitor everything on air coming back. And that's all we really have up there. I think there might be a little bit of weather stuff up there, but that's pretty much it. And you know, all those big, huge dishes down the side of the building. Yeah, they don't use any of that shit anymore either. It's all just sitting there and it needs to be taken down, and they just haven't taken it down yet.
It looks impressive.
It looks great. Yeah, it looks great. Especially when the water comes up around the building. Every time there's a storm, it's like we're all moving our cars down the one end of the parking lot. And it's like, this gets old. We got an agreement with the building that, what is it? Altamar, whatever, the one across the street where all of our reporters live. We've got all these reporters that move down. They all move into this building. They all live across. If they bomb that building, there won't be any reporters left for Wing. But they've got a second floor guest parking garage, and they've said they're going to let us use that to park our personal vehicles in, because if not, we would all lose our vehicles because they're all in that parking lot, which is probably like right about 3 feet above sea level. You know, that last little storm we had go by, what was it, 6 months ago, whatever, one of those storms that the one that caused the flooding up the river. It was 1.5 feet deep in our back parking lot, and they were parking across the street, and they were parking up in the front of the building. And it came all the way up to about 6 feet of the back door of that building. We've got these big metal things on either side of, there's only 4 entrances into the building. And they've got these big metal things that are about 4 foot tall on either side of the door. And they've got these covers that go over them. I'm like, what are these things they've installed here? It looks weird. What it is it's a watertight sealed thing. And then this panel fits down in there, and it's to keep the water out of the building. That's how low that building is. Yeah. I said, you know, pontoons would have probably been cheaper, but I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. And when they rebuilt the radio cluster, we're like, why don't you build it upstairs where the water's less likely to come? No, that just makes too much sense. We got offices upstairs. So we built $1 million radio studio 9 feet above mean high sea level. It's insured. Again.
I know a poor ham radio club that could probably put some antennas up on that tower if they're looking for.
Man, I know. And I'm going to tell you something. I won't use the term cheap bastard. But those people there might not do that for us. Oh, no, let me take that back. They would do it for us for a price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if they could get a huge tax write-off.
Tax donation.
Yeah. I mean, trust me, they think FHP means a bunch of cops on the highway, not free or half price. They don't know anything about that. I don't. My company's really cheap. I wouldn't put anything like that up on them. Trust me. But, and everything else we have is pretty much on leased towers. We leased the one down in Estero that we've got our signal on. We leased the one we've got in South Cape. I think we even leased the big one up there by the 685. Because, you know, we Wink's on, you know, the 685's on the big one. And then there's another one that's almost as big. And then there's another one that is as big. That's the one that Wink's on. If you ever look up there on those towers on 31, you'll know the one that Wink is on because there's a digital TV stick sitting on top of it. And the BBH has a digital stick sitting up on top of it. But our Wink one has our Wink FM stick that's mounted to the top of the TV tower, the TV stick. So you can actually see it sitting up there. And that's how you know which one's Wink and which one's the 685 or the BBH tower. And that's why Wink FM 96.9 can be heard from Alamorada all the way to the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, because it's literally a blowtorch at 100,000 watts sitting up there at 1,000 feet. Lucky bastards, man. All right. Could you imagine if we had something like that? What if we get the 685 up that high, huh? Anyway, I say that, but if
such a thing is too much,
there is, because you know what, it would get smashed all the time by all the other repeaters that are on that same frequency in the state. It would just get smashed all the time. You're right, but it would give us a better receive footprint, but it would just get all that extra crap coming in from everywhere else. Oh, well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on tomorrow at the swap shop. I think it's just a regular swap shop. Somebody said they needed to borrow an antenna tuner, but I think somebody else piped up and said they had the club tuner and they were bringing that. So I think we're set there.
Do you know who needs a tuner?
I don't remember who it was.
If I remember, I'll bring mine.
I think it might have been the other Leo.
Tuner or an analyzer?
An analyzer. I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. That's my bad.
Yeah,
That's my newbieism showing itself right there. I call it tuner, analyzer, WinLink, Echolink. Those are the two that and WSJTX, which I finally got that one. But those other two still a problem. So, not good.
I knew what you meant.
You get that nailed too.
Yeah. Not good.
Good night, everyone. See some of you at the swap shop tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you there. Have a good one, John. Guys, I'm gonna go eat my pizza, but it's been fun tonight as always. I find the fellowship in this just as good as anything else, so I really appreciate it. And thanks, guys. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Leo, for co-hosting with me. All right, guys, have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow or whenever.
Good night, Ian, and good night,
night.
everybody else.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
7 3s, 7 3s, 7.